found a pretty interesting science experiment online and I decided to give it a try. What you see is my jellyfish in a bottle. A very simple experiment that you can do at home with just a few easy to find materials. Plastic bag, water bottle, water, scissors, and a little bit of food coloring. I will show you all the materials in a second and we'll go through how to do it. Okay, so before we begin, it is so incredibly important that you remember you have parent permission before doing any sort of science experiment. And it's also important for you younger ones out there to make sure you have some parent supervision or maybe even just a little bit of assistance. So, to make our jellyfish, you're going to take your scissors and your plastic bag and you're just going to cut off some tiny little strips. They can be small squares. The strips are going to be about no thicker than your finger. Right? And you can make them as long as your finger if you'd like. Depends on how you want them to be. They don't all need to be the same size. And some can also be smaller little squares, about the size of your bottle cap, too. Just some good references. Again, they do not all need to be the same. It can be different, and the different ones are going to make it look a little bit more interesting. And one of the big reasons we don't want them to be too big is you don't want to overfill your bottle. Less is more sometimes. We're going to find that perfect number. All right, let's get started. Now that you have your plastic strips all cut up, you're going to take your water and you're going to pour it into the plastic bottle about halfway full. You don't want to fill the whole thing up yet. Now that I'm about halfway, I'm going to take my food coloring. I chose blue just because it looks a little bit more like the ocean. You can choose whatever color you wish. I'm going to add about 3 drops. I'm going to watch how it all disperses and gets settled in there. Then I'm going to add some jellyfish. So because I'm using a smaller water bottle, I'm only going to add in 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now you're going to top it off with a bit more water. I recommend not filling all the way to the top. That way there's just a bit more movement for your water in the bottle. You're going to put the cap on nice and tight. And then see what happens inside. Watch how your jellyfish move. What do you notice? I hope you enjoyed creating our jellyfish in a bottle, and I hope you had some fun making observations and asking questions about what you see. Now, one of the reasons I had us do this project is not only because it's an easy one to do with some simple materials found around our house, but it also gives us a chance to think about what happens to the plastic when we are done with it. Where does it go? Where does it end up? And a lot of that actually ends up in our oceans. And as we can see in our models here, these plastic bags look a lot like jellyfish. So when the different animals in our oceans see the plastic floating, they make the mistake and think it is the actual jellyfish, which they often rely on for food. So animals such as the sea turtles that consume jellyfish, they end up eating the plastic. Now this plastic is not easy for them to digest and it causes problems within those sea turtles, which too many of them that consume the jellyfish often have some health effects and they sometimes die, which causes a decline in the population and has a lasting effect on the overall ocean's ecosystem. When you remove one part of that population, it affects the whole rest of the food web. Just some things for us to think about.